All right, so next one up is Mr. Stephen Hunt. He's the chairman of the Fairfax County Office of Election. So very important words. Please give him the undivided attention.
Thank you very much. Just want to acknowledge I feel very much at home. I happen to have been born in the Philippines, Clark Air Force Base, and when I was in the Navy, spent a great deal of time sailing around, based out of Japan, Philippines, and throughout that region. And so feel quite at home. I am the chairman of the Fairfax County Electoral Board, and so you've had some really great speeches here tonight. Things to motivate you to get out there and vote for Donald Trump. But more than likely, when you guys showed up here, you were going to vote for Donald Trump anyway. The question is, what else can you do? What can you do to help make sure Donald Trump gets elected? Now, there's a quote that's attributed to Stalin. And he says, it doesn't matter who votes in an election. It matters who counts the votes. Counting the votes is the easy part. We have machines now that do that. They're very accurate. But running the election are the election officers. In my background, I've been actively engaged in Fairfax County politics for 20 years now. I've done the door-to-door. I've done the phone calls. I've been a precinct captain. I've been an ops chairman for a district. I've been a candidate. I've been an elected official. I've been an election officer. And now I'm on the electoral board. And I can tell you, one of the most important positions in this entire process are the election officers. Who is running the election? Now, the question is, what are you going to do on election day? Now, you may just go in and vote, go home, and sit there and hope. Or you could be out handing out sample ballots out in front of the polling location. But with the exception of the meals tax, most people know who's on the ballot. You could be an observer, part of the campaign that's watching what goes on in the election. But if you're an observer and you see something that's not going well, you go to the chief and you tell them that's not the way it's supposed to be done. But you see the chief, since we have a Democrat governor, the chief is going to be a Democrat. And the assistant chief should be a Republican. And half of the election officers should be Republicans. And if you go to that Democrat chief, he's going to say, yeah, thanks a lot, I appreciate you telling me that, but he's going to do whatever he wants to do. We are supposed to have half of the election officers in every precinct Republican and half Democrat. But we have a huge shortage of Republican election officers. And so we have some precincts in Fairfax County where we will have very few and sometimes almost no Republican election officers. Now think of it this way. A group of teenagers on their own quite possibly will go off and do something stupid. But if there's one adult there to watch them, it may preclude them from doing anything stupid because there's an adult watching. By having the Republican election officers in the precinct, it precludes them from trying to even think about doing something strange with the ballots or anything of that nature, and making sure that they follow the rules. And if you're an election officer, you're part of the team. So it's not this Republican poll observer that's doing this. It's a member of their team that walks up to the chief and says, Chief, I went through training and this is not the way it's supposed to be done. And the chief goes, oh, this person's been in training, he's on our team. You're going to get a much better response. It's a long day. Election officers show up at 5 o'clock in the morning, help set the polls up. You want to make sure that the machines are set up correctly, everything's done above boards. You need to be there to be able to watch it. You're there until the polls close at 7 or whenever the lines are over, and the elections are, machines are closed out and the results are called in. So it is a very long day. We are going to pay you, though, a grand total of $175. So, you know, big bucks, $175 per day. But it is critical critical that we have Republicans, and the Democrats in Fairfax County have very little problem getting the 2,000 some odd Democrat election officers. But we are somewhere around 600 to 700 short in Republican election officers. You got to go through one evening of training, show up at the polls, and be there and do what you're told to do from training. You've been in the polls, you've walked through the process, you see how it works, it's really not that hard. The other thing that you really bring to the table is incredibly helpful when we have election officers who speak a second language. Because frequently, we will have retirement homes who bring an entire busload of people. And all of them are speaking Korean or Chinese or Vietnamese. And really difficult. And sometimes they have this handler who's helping them through the process. And we have no idea what he's saying and what he's telling them and who he's telling them to vote for. And so by having an election officer in that polling location that speaks the language, that knows what's going on, can make sure it's being done correctly. Critical that we have people, and I have flyers to tell you all about it. You can come talk to me. Flyers are on the back table on how to be an election officer. We've had some great talks today, great speeches that motivate you, but if you do not have a plan on how you can contribute, it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. Now, on election day, get them down to the government center, and they can vote absentee in person. Make sure you've got that vote taken care of. And I'll be around for any questions about the election process, our machines, anything of that nature, or how to be an election officer. I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you. Thanks a lot.